Freddie Highmore has never watched the movie because
Really?
he did not want to get influenced by his performance, and it is uncanny how similar they are.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? It's freaky how similar they are, and he's never seen the movie, and he still hasn't. He refuses to watch it until maybe the whole thing's over because he didn't want to be influenced in any kind of way from something else. You know?
That's really, really interesting to hear because his mannerisms, everything, they are so alike. Pretty spot on.
It's weird. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Shows how the character can really sort of draw you in.
I know.
Excellent.
I know.
So what do you think is about the show that makes it such a success? I mean, it is 5 seasons now. That's a big thing for nowadays. So what do you...
I mean, again, there's an authenticity to dysfunction. I mean, we all have dysfunction in our lives, and when it becomes a psychological dysfunction, I think people get more intrigued by it.
Yeah.
And then you have a mother who will do anything for her son because every mother doesn't want to admit their son is bad or there's a problem with them, or if they do, they want to treat them as every normal kid in life, and that's human nature.
Yeah.
And I think they stay true to that with even Norma and Norman. You know what I mean? They don't want to admit the faults and the flaws in these things that could be very real because love overcomes everything, and the mother's love for a son will trump everything, and be in denial about the things that maybe you should address because that's just human nature. And I really think there's something genuine and authentic about it, and I for some reason I think that draws people in, because it gets more and more effed up, and it's more and more dysfunctional, and it's more and more weird, yet we watch it because we're like, how far are they willing to go? Yet the writers are willing to go there, and those are really dark places. Like Carrie, one of the main showrunner writers of it, Carlton has got his own crazy thing going on, and he's brilliant with that. Carrie always says to me, she goes, I never had a messed up life. She goes, I had a normal life. So she goes, when I write what I write, she goes, I really try to go to a dark place, but at the same time, when I see what Vera does with it or what Freddie does with it, she goes, I never envisioned that, and they blow me away by how many levels of things they're able to bring to it. Yeah. And she goes, I can't take that credit. I got to give it to them because it just shows you how great they are. So everyone's always giving everyone else the credit, which is another beautiful thing about all of them is every single person on that show, Olivia, Freddie, Max, Nestor, and Vera are the most, and Ryan, humblest people in the world. I'm the only one that's the asshole. Everyone else is really, really nice. No, I'm similar. We're all similar. We're very much alike, which is what makes it like a family. We're like literally, when you see us together as people, we're like silly little kids. You know what I mean? Yet when it's about to go on, everyone goes into these places that you're like, how did they get there? Where are they? Because it's pretty wild.
Excellent. You kind of just answered my next question. Was like, Freddie and Vera are both superb in the roles, and the way they can see, obviously Norma's angst as she becomes fearful of his capabilities as the seasons go on, and it's, the standard image you have of, like you say, back in the 60s, the original film of the mother sitting there controlling it, and you can see it the other way around where she's actually fearful of him. I mean, it must be, how is it working with people like that? Because they seem to have that gel. I mean, you've already you talked about it a little bit, but...
I mean, the thing I always say, what makes great actors great is they're so emotionally open and available, and they're so living in the moment that they're not acting. They're able to literally go from moment to moment, and really, I think they're both super hard workers at breaking down their characters and knowing, what's underneath them. They've done so much history that they live in those moments. And there's a genuine thing about Freddie and Vera and all of them in Max that literally allow you to live in that open, naked world. So you're almost not there. You don't know anyone's there. You don't know the cameras are there. You're lost in this world with that other person. And, I mean, I've had it with Forrest Whitaker, with Glenn Close, with, Walton Goggins, with Maria Bello, with, Holly Hunter, with, you go through line, great actors make you better. And if for some reason, if you're an open, available person and you trust being in the moment, you're not acting. You're actually living those moments, which then they capture on screen.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the capability to obviously do that. And that's what makes them pretty brilliant, And again, Freddie is a little more method when he needs to get into his role because he lives in these dark places. Vera is able to just laugh it off. She'll do a crazy, intense scene where she'll go to 7 levels within 8 seconds. And then the scene will be done and she'll just be like, and she'll laugh it off like, was that even any good? She's not quite sure if it was there or not there. Yet, when you're on the other end of it or you see it on film, it's all there and it's brilliant, And there's a trust that they have, an openness and a trust of their vessel that the writing's able to just flow through them and each other affects each other and whatever their instinctual reaction is, as long as you're true to the character to within a certain realm, it just adds so many colors and dimensions to it, and you can't really explain it. It just is kind of otherworldly, and and that's why they're as brilliant as they are. It's just like a God-given thing, a gift, I think.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, I get it. That's it's really interesting to hear and how they can work with that. And I mean, because it is very disturbing material that they're working with as well. So Vera just being able to laugh that off is good because obviously it shows she's not deeply psychologically damaged by what she's going through. I mean, I had to do something myself. I did my first filming last year on my own. I was cast as an extra, but on the day they gave me some extra bits to do. Found out that I was actually the character. I had 20 lines. It's an independent film, but it was a paedophile, and I was like, right.
Oh, right.
Yeah. My first ever acting role was probably the most hardest and disgusting character I've ever had, especially because they put the cloak over the head and you have to say lines, which I never knew I had to do till I got there. But it was, as quickly as the actual director was like, you sure you want to do this? Because quite a few people have said they wouldn't do it at all. And I was like, all I'm doing is saying the lines. I don't mean them.
Right. No, it's a pretty weird stigma. And again, I don't really know, but I do know I didn't have a lot of press or interviews with my character. And I think it's because, I remember talking to the NBC guy, one of the heads that came to have like a party at the end of season 3. And I talked to him and he was a big fan of mine and he was really super nice. And we talked and I said, I'm really shocked that you guys actually went out on a limb and played, actually went with a character in the whole rape thing. I go, that's a really huge thing. And he kept pointing at Carrie. He goes, it's all because of her. She fought so hard for you to be this character on the show because she wanted to address the issue, in a human way. Yeah. And she fought really, really hard. And I think a lot of the outside press didn't really want to do much with me because from A&E, they just didn't want to push it because of the stigma that comes along with it. And I realized that, and I mean, when I did my first few episodes and I went to a party, the guy who owns Morgan Creek Productions, and they've done tons of movies. And so he's like my best friend. And so I was over there and I'm in line in his backyard, and they hired this truck to get like whatever, tacos or fajitas or whatever. And I'm in line and all of a sudden, and this is, these are like kind of high profile business people in the film business. And, I'm sitting there with my wife, Kathleen, and we're in line and all of a sudden these ladies look back and think, oh, yuck, gross. I got to get away from him. This is just too creepy. I can't even be near him. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, oh my God, are they talking about me? And they're talking about Caleb. Like Caleb affected him that much. And I'm like, it's a character. I'm like, I'm not that guy. I go, I'm just portraying a guy and then trying to make him human, and it's just, it's wild. I mean, it's wild, it's like, it's really weird.
Well, that means you've done a really good job, though, because I've heard that quite a few times on, in interviews on TV and stuff, where actors who've played characters which are less than desirable have ended up getting people screaming at them on the streets. But I mean, yeah, okay, it's horrendous for you guys as a person because it's like, that's not me. But,
Right.
it means if you've done the job well enough that people are actually out there and they've believed the character so much.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a kind of a tribute in a way. Horrible tribute for you personally when you're experiencing it, but...
It's pretty wild. I mean, look, like my thing for me to play it is I always do my history from when I was born till, where I am in this story.
Mm-hmm.
So I go through the first 5 years, 5 to 10, 10 to whatever, and I have all the relationships with everybody, everything that happened within, the household. And, I personally have, things that had happened to me when I was 5 years old. I was kidnapped by a cult with a little girl, and a bunch of things happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
And she had things that I found out way later on in life when I went back to Connecticut because I was living in Vermont. I moved away when I was pretty young. That her dad was a pedophile. And I didn't realize that, but he was a pedophile. Her mom was really bipolar in real life. And I started hearing all these things that had happened to the kids over the years. Yeah. And I was with them all the time. Mm-hmm. So I kind of related. And also sexually, there were things that she had done and started with me at an age where I didn't know what the heck was going on or where she would have learned it. But then I realized later on because of her dad where that came from.
Right.
So right away I'm connecting dots. And so I made my history to parallel real life things in me. And so, for me, I started not me starting things with my sister, but my sister starting things with me. Mm-hmm. And it was at an age and we only had each other. And we had that, big abusive alcoholic dad. And I had him having done things to her. And I had the mom being bipolar and borderline schizophrenic. So I had a whole story to kind of follow up on. So when I'm accused of what I'm accused of, I never deny it, but I know what she went through and I know what position. And all I know is when she said no that one time, I couldn't not do it because that's all I knew for so many years. Who started it? Who knows? But I remember pitching it to, Carrie, the creator, and she goes, no, that would have never happened. That would never happen. No, that didn't happen. I'm like, yeah, no, I was just saying in real life, like, something kind of strange happened that paralleled it. So I kind of used a lot of those experiences and I shared it with Carrie, and I remember her going like, no, that would never happen. And I'm like, no, but it actually did happen to me. I go, so it would happen. Yeah. And I think it planted something in her head to, I'll never discredit what she says, and I'll never, because look, she's the love of my life. My sister was the one person I was in love with, and I didn't know any better, and we didn't know any better, and that just is what it was. But I think the writers then made it a little more ambiguous, like he's never going to say no, like I didn't do it, or no, she started something way back when. He would never do that because he loves her too much to ruin anything she's worked up to being the family woman she is right now and who she is. And if you love somebody that much, you're going to have their back. And I think Caleb, no matter what, will look, he knows he did it wrong. There's no way to right that wrong, and there's no way to make people say, well, oh, that's excusable or or forgivable, because I don't think he's looking for that. All he wants to do is now in his life find some sort of like, how can I give back a positive or be positive or helpful in some sort of way, because I've got nothing else. Yeah. I've got nothing else. And, you come to a point, everyone does in their lives when they get older, where, I don't know, you just want to do something positive or good and not be in denial anymore. And I think Caleb, so it's interesting, but I'm telling you, season 5 is just going to come back in a way that's so messed up and weird and jacked up that people they're gonna love it. I think they're gonna love it. Fantastic.
That's great. Last kind of question I've got for you then before I let you go is obviously what else? Anything else on the horizon? I know you've got Secrets and Lies you've been in, haven't you, or you're coming up to?
Yeah, I did Secrets and Lies with Juliette Lewis and Michael Ealy and Jordana Brewster and Terry O'Quinn, and it aired on ABC. And it came out, it finished airing. I mean, we did the 10 episodes, and that was really good. I don't know if it aired over there, but...
yeah, I think we're a season or 2 behind over here.
Okay, so yeah, that was season 2. They have a new cast every season. So that was actually a great character for me to play, actually. It was really good. I did a movie with Anthony Hopkins and Colin Farrell called Solace that might have come out over there, but it just got released over here, and it's like it's like the sequel to the movie Seven.
Yep.
And that was a psychological thriller, which is kind of dope. Yeah, and I think I did one called Run the Tide with Taylor